Hey guys, my name is Spencer Coffman. Thank you for watching the Deception Tips videos. They're all about teaching you how to read people and detect deception so that you will be able to tell if someone is lying to you. Today we're going to kind of tie into what we talked about last time about suggesting things or getting some feedback. It is a strategy that you can use to determine whether or not someone is being truthful or not. Now this one, instead of suggesting a potential consequence or suggesting a potential thing or accusing them of something greater to get them to admit to something, this has to do with allowing them to dictate the outcome of whatever is happening. So for example, if you have kids or if they've done something and you say, well, what do you think the punishment should be? Or what do you think this should be? Or for law enforcement, when they're interrogating people, they would maybe ask them, well, what do you think the typical sentence would be for this sort of crime? And then you would get two different responses. Now you would get multiple different responses depending on the situation, but you're going to get two categories of responses depending on whatever the outcome is, whether they are telling the truth or whether they are telling a lie. So here it is. This is deception tip number 27. When asked, a guilty person will often propose a more lenient consequence as opposed to a more common sense or standard consequence. So there are two parts to this. You get two categories of answers. So if I ask, what do you think should be the consequence for this sort of behavior? At this point in time, you're already fairly certain that this person is lying. They may even already be caught, but they haven't fully confessed or admitted to it. And you may use this to kind of clinch the deal or become 100% certain. It's kind of confirming your belief. So you'll say to them, well, what do you think a typical consequence, or what should be the sentence, or what should happen if someone were to do this? So you don't have to say for them, you propose it in a more general sentence. So if you say, like, well, what about when someone steals, what do you think should be the consequence for them? Or you could even come up with a fake scenario of, well, there's another person we have that we're trying to figure out how to punish them, and this is their scenario. What do you think would apply, or what do you think would be fair? And you're knowing full well that the scenario is very similar to the one that this person is in, but you've made up a different one. Or you maybe have a real life different one, either way. But you're giving them the chance to determine whether or not, or what the outcome or what the consequence is of a sentence or of a situation that is very similar to theirs. So they will be open to giving you that information because they know it's not applying to them, but in the same way they also know that it kind of does apply to them. It's unconscious. They consciously know that you're not accusing them of doing it, but they unconsciously know that it's the same as their situation. So a liar will propose a more lenient consequence. So for example, well, what do you think the sentence should be for, you know, larceny or grand larceny or some big time theft, bank robbery? And they may say, well, maybe 5 years in prison or something, or maybe a year in prison, or something ridiculous. Or if you're going 200 miles an hour, what do you think should be the consequence? And they say, well, maybe a couple $100 fine. Are you kidding me? You know, it's something that's going to be out of the question. Whereas a truthful person who maybe didn't do that, they would propose something like, well, grand larceny, man, they should be locked up for 25 years or something like that. Or if you're going 200 miles, that's pretty high over the speed limit. Maybe you'd lose your license, maybe for a suspension or maybe permanent or whatever the case may be. It's going to be a more common sense or standard response. So this is a great technique that you can use when you want to know if someone is lying or if someone is telling the truth. And if this is your first time watching these videos, I'd love to have you subscribe to the channel on YouTube. We have a lot of information there, and you can also leave comments if you have any questions. We also have stuff available on spencercoffman.com, books, podcasts, blog posts, etc., all available to teach you exactly what everybody is saying. Until next time.